Welcome to our first Alpha podcast of 2025, which I will be recording on my own as my colleague Mark Randall cannot be here with me today. The theme for this first podcast of the year is really about, I suppose, one, to help you really kick off your new year and help you get started, and to sort of build upon a theme which, we've talked about over many years, almost constantly through our Alpha Mind podcast series since it first started in 2019. And in terms of years, this is our 7th year of recording this podcast. So, and I believe it's our 140th episode. So there's a lot that we've talked about with this. Really, the theme is developing yourself as a trader. This is pertinent to us because trader education, trader self-development, trader advancement has been the core of everything we've spoken about. And in fact, it's the core of our work. Both myself and Mark work as performance coaches and performance development consultants, both individually on our own and together with our corporate clients. And we work helping the corporate clients to develop their trading businesses, to improve the trading businesses so they work more effectively as a system, as groups, as teams, so that they are more productive and effective. And we also work with the individuals within those teams, as well as working with individual traders from across the spectrum of trading, right from young retail traders to senior traders at some of the largest investment banks, energy and commodity trading firms and hedge funds, right up to partner level. So, and individuals who have been trading really since the 1990s. And in a couple of cases, even the 1980s. So we're talking about helping develop people at all levels of their career in trading. And this is the theme we're coming back to today. And I suppose part of the drive for this is to really, make people aware of a program that we're running starting in March 2025. It's the first of these programs that we've run to a diverse group rather than face-to-face with clients in their offices. And it's called the High Performance Trader Development Learning Program. And we're running it with our educational partner, the Society of Technical Analysts, who are promoting it and administrating it on our behalf. The program will be run over 10 two-hour Zoom sessions in a group of up to 25 people, and it really echoes the work we do as coaches individually with people, bringing the themes, models and frameworks that we do in our work to life in a peer learning environment where we bring people together from across all spectrums of trading into groups, and we ask them to be part of this conversation, to be part of this program, and for us to have an emerging conversation with them where they also go off into small groups and run exercises together, discussion exercises, and then come back and talk it with us. And it's a very powerful learning approach. It's a peer learning approach. It's an emerging learning approach where it's not just us telling you, but us exploring things with people and hearing their own experiences and perspectives on things. Because trading is a difficult thing to teach. You can teach small parts of it. You can teach analysis. You can teach a system or a strategy. You can teach people about the psychology of trading. And elements such as how to execute and how to really, I suppose, manage, maybe do some risk management aspects. But actually, trading doesn't work as a separate group of activities. It works as a cohesive and whole group of activities meshed into one, happening together. We're constantly analysing the market. We're constantly watching it, observing it. We're constantly forming ideas and views and updating our existing ideas and views, or even trashing them, deciding that something is no longer valid as a view. And we're constantly monitoring the market during all this, and we're coming up with ideas which we're then looking to execute within a system or process or strategy. And all the time we're kind of monitoring, or should be monitoring and managing ourselves as well as we go through this process, because you are the engine of all of this. You are the one who comes up with the ideas, who observes the market, who places the trades, who manages the system, who risk manages your portfolio or your individual trades. And self-management is such a big part of this. So they all happen together. They all happen as a cohesive whole, not as separate parts. And that's really where we're going with this high-performance trading learning program. And it's really the journey we've been on as performance coaches and performance consultants over the past 6-7 years since we started the podcast. Although we've been doing this much longer, we both started around about 2010 after long careers in the markets ourselves. If you want to know more about this high performance trader learning program, by the way, go to the Society of Technical Analysts website. You can find that on technicalanalysts.com, and then go to their education page and their courses, and then scroll down. We think, as we're at the moment of talking about this, we think there's still some places available, although they are going fast. Now, as I said, the theme for this talk is really about the idea of trader development. We trading is a funny business. No one really learns trading as a learning program or course. We tend to learn it through experience, through trial and error. We might do some individual learning parts, as we've said, on various components of it, but we tend to learn it as a whole. And this normally holds us back, and is a big reason. This failure to learn properly is a big reason why many people fail in this job. Let me explain what I mean a little bit more about that. We see trading as a performance activity. We see it as something that has more akin to sport, to gaming, to games of probability and chance like poker and bridge and blackjack, than it is an academic exercise. There are obviously academic components to it, and the more you move into the world of analysis, the more that becomes a series of academic exercises. But trading itself is a performance activity, and in that sense it's got a lot more in common, as we said, with sport and gaming and other performance activities such as music, drama, acting, or combat, martial arts, military training. It can be looked at as a performance activity. Acts of endeavour, sort of mountain climbing, sailing. These are all performance activities. They all take something of you, of who you are, very much at the centre of what you do. And you learn to do it around who you are. You learn to become a sports person around who you are in your own style, and how you approach that sport must reflect your own character or your own physicality. And a great example we like to use is athletics. Whereas if you're built powerfully and stocky, and you decide to go into the field of athletics, you get much more bang for your buck from your body shape by doing something that reflects that. Maybe field activity or sprinting. 100-meter sprinters are powerfully built. They're going to have an edge over people who are less powerfully built. By contrast, if we go to the other end of the spectrum, long distance running, marathon runners, that bulkiness, that powerful body profile is going to be a hindrance, and you're going to be competing against people who are lithe and long limbed, who are going to find it much easier to run 26 miles. It won't drain them as much. They won't have to put as much effort into it. So that they've got an advantage there. But equally, those people are going to probably struggle when it comes to sprinting, and they could do as much training as you, but you are more likely to get further than them. And so we use that example to say, trading is very similar to performance activity, and you need to perform it in a way that aligns with who you are, with perhaps less body type, but more psychology, more personality. Something that aligns with who you are, something that aligns with your reality, in terms of the resources you have or the situation you find yourself in. If you're starting with a relatively small amount of money, you probably need to be more reactive to build it fast than just sitting on a long-term investment profile, for example. So there's lots of ways which, getting back to this theme of developing yourself as a trader, to think of it in the same way you think of it as a performance activity. So what really lies at the thrust of our work at Alpha Mind and at the High Performance Trader Learning Program, which we're going to be running, and I suppose a little bit of the clue is in the title of that program. It's not the High Performance Trading Learning Program, it's the Trader Learning Program. And the challenge here is that you have to learn to become a trader. You don't have to learn to do trading. Anyone can learn to do trading. It's not that difficult, and it doesn't take that long. But you won't succeed at it unless you become a trader. And that's a very different thing. That's an identity, a mindset, a way of being, a way of looking at things, a way of approaching things, a way of dealing with things, and a way to manage yourself as a trader through that process, both in your trading and outside of it. So the High Performance Trader Learning Program is that key element that's never been talked about before, and that's where we go, and that's what all our podcasts, that's where they all go. How can you become a better trader? So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about through the use of a metaphor that we've constructed in recent months as part of the learning for this program. We call it the trader success pyramid. I'd like you to think about a pyramid that starts off on the bottom half of the pyramid. So if you go about halfway up, the bottom half of it we would colour dark red. Now that actually represents about 3/4 of the pyramid. And that also represents for us all those people who go into trading but do not progress beyond the initial phase, do not progress beyond base camps. You can think of that pyramid like a mountain. And to ascend the mountain, you need to get to different levels of base camp. So you start off at the very foot of it. And most people don't get, the next level of base camp is halfway up the pyramid. And about 3/4 of the people entering it don't get beyond that. And that's because many of them go into that initial phase misguided by false hope, with unrealistic expectations, and with a very limited understanding of trading risk and market dynamics. And that could take them out in the early months. They may even last a couple of years in it, because maybe they get off to a good start. Maybe they jump on a bandwagon. If you started trading in early 2020 or in the beginning of the COVID years, you would have jumped on a bandwagon and made a lot of money very quickly with your meme stocks. And you'd have thought, hey, I'm a trader. But you weren't. You were someone doing trading and just happened to jump on something at the right time. And as far as we know, nearly everyone who got called into that disappeared after a couple of years and they returned the money, with a very few exceptions. So you can think of that as cutting out the first 3/4 of all those who enter, the 75%. So 25% make it to the next level. Call it base camp 2. And these people persist for a time. They go a little bit further into it. But eventually they deplete their resources. Time, money, patience. And that ultimately causes them to leave before they can elevate themselves to the next level. So you've got another attrition rate. And we believe that's, again, half of the remainder are attrited in that part of the learning process. So now you're to half of that 25%. So we're talking about 12.5%. And, possibly 3, 4, 5 years. Some people will go through that journey quicker, some more slowly. Will make it to the next level. And here we like to say that the colours move from dark red to bright red. And now we're into the amber section. These are the people who have got a chance to make it because they've got this far. And these are individuals who continue for several years. But again, maybe half of these, again, disappear. They weren't able to generate an income from trading. And they either decided to step away at a certain point or were compelled to because they weren't able to provide based off trading. Or they just decided to walk away, that, they've enjoyed this, that they've they've got a lot of pleasure from doing it and they've learned a lot about themselves. But, they put a considerable amount of time, money and emotional energy into this. And they realise that, they're perhaps not able to make the next step. And so again, about half of what was remaining get removed or walk away. And now we're into that kind of final 6 or 7% of all those who started. And these are the ones who are now able to start earning a modest income from their trading activities. But again, and I'm talking, just to make things clear, I'm talking about non-institutional players, retail traders, private traders, traders doing small prop, small family offices perhaps. And we were into that final group that have made it, perhaps beyond 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. Maybe some people took less to get there, some people took longer. These people can earn a modest income, but again, it's not enough. You're not just looking at repaying the period where you didn't earn an income. You've got to repay that to yourself. You've got to repay that investment, and you've got to live off it. And we all know living expenses are high. So that modest income may just not be enough. And here again, we see about half of this group disappearing. And eventually walking away, giving up, doing something else, going back to an old job or an alternative career. And now we're into that final, and we're going to say perhaps 2 to 3%, maybe less, who can earn a sustainable income from trading, who can actually keep going and living off it. And not many of them are making a lot of money. They are maintaining a lifestyle. But even then, perhaps only a tiny fraction of them, perhaps an eighth, maybe less, actually make serious money. So we're talking about perhaps 0.5% of all those who entered really start to earn the big money, really start to earn big income. And there would have been probably some additional measures needed. They probably would have needed to have other people's money to trade off. They probably would have been given other people's money and can take a percentage of what they get from that. So they're really leveraging their skill now. So the question is, and the question that we talk about is why you have coaching, why you do learning programs, why you work with mentors. It's because you need to accelerate up that pyramid. You need to catalyze your journey. Most people are just going to disappear because it goes too slow or their progression is too slow. So that's why we talk about doing something deliberate and specific to help yourself move up there, to engage with coaches, to engage with learners. And there's very, very few, in our opinion, learning resources. I'm not talking about learning the specific. I'm not talking about learning the specific. I'm not talking about learning the specific individual skills, aspects of training, such as learning analysis or learning how to code or learning the basic understanding of the fundamentals of the market. I'm talking about doing it as a cohesive whole, actually being a trader, not just doing the trading. That's where it's really hard to learn. And that's where you get an edge working in an organisation with other traders, because you kind of learn just by being around traders. You're mentored by people, sometimes you deliberately, but most of the time just by dint of being around them. And that becomes a huge advantage. And that's why their pyramid looks somewhat different. Maybe I should look at try and describe the pyramid of institutional traders. I've described how the attrition of traders happens at these different frequencies and different times on the non-institutional, the retail, the private, the small prop side. But if you go to the institutional side, you have the same pyramid, only the levels come down much lower because people have the edge of working in an organisation, of being paid also to be there. So, the survival is going to be a lot longer. But even then, it's not guaranteed. One of our first guests on the podcast was a trader who also was a CEO of a large hedge fund. His name was Garth Friesen, and he had written a brilliant book called Bite the Arse Off a Bear, which not many people know about in the trading world, but it was his own sort of recollections of his journey into trading, and there's loads of interesting stories and great advice in that book. But I always remember a small excerpt from that book when he arrived for his first day at the kind of inauguration session at the firm with all the other new applicants who had managed to land a role in the trading room. And he said that in their first training session, a senior managing director spoke to all the new intake, welcomed them all to the firm, and he said, "Look around at all your fellow colleagues filling this room at the moment." He said, 50% of you will be gone in 5 years. 90% of you will be gone in 10. And that is, in my experience from around 25 years working as a trader on the professional side, is a pretty good assessment. There is an attrition in the professional trading world as well. Many people don't get to the next level, and they move out, they move sideways, they move to different careers, maybe they move into different roles within the business. But as time goes on, there is this less and less people making it to the next level. You are going to make it to a much higher level than people in the non-professional world, the non-institutional world. And you have many advantages. I mean, you're on the inside of the market, not the outside. As a private retail trader, you're not really playing. I mean, this is another part of this program we're going to be looking at, and there will be professional traders sitting alongside retail traders on our program. And whilst we'll be learning and looking at the same things, there's going to be different nuances to where they are. The professional traders are on the inside. They're sell-side traders most of the time. They are working at a different angle. They're inside the liquidity of the market. And their job is not to perhaps stand back and look at the market and choose when to go in and out. They have to go in and out all the time. They have to be in the market all the time. They're market makers. They have to be making markets to their clients. They have to be putting the franchise of the business, the bank they work at, or the energy firm. They have to put that into the market, because that's how they make money, by maintaining that franchise. They have to be ready to quote clients all the time to fill orders. They have their salespeople reaching out all the time to people to try and get them to trade and transact with them. And they have to be ready to quote. And they have to be running risk pretty much all the time. So it's a different game. But there isn't much, that pyramid still exists, but in a slightly different form, with all the bands, all the different boot camp levels, lower down the mountain. But still very, very few make it to the very top. A tiny percentage get to that area where you can make extreme wealth from the markets. The key to both of these pyramids, whether you're private, retail, non-institutional, or whether you're institutional, sell-side, perhaps working in a hedge fund, is you have to learn to get up the mountain, up the pyramid. It can look like a mountain sometimes, and the mountain analogy works very well because of the base camp, the boot camp concept. You have to learn to get to the next level. You have to become a trader. And the limitations of just doing more and more analysis are that they're not going to help you. It's how you are as a trader. And this is what this first podcast of 2025 is really all about. And it really captures the work we do at Alpha Mind, which is to help people become better traders, to help people understand what trading is, to help people look at themselves in the full round, to get people to think about trading in the whole, not just as a separate parts, and to get them to think about themselves, because them being the engine of their trading, the more optimal they are, the better, the fitter they are mentally, physically as well, psychologically, the better they're going to trade, the better they're going to make decisions, the better they're going to be immersed into the market, the more effective they're going to observe it, the better they're going to sense it, and the better they'll be able to let go. And, after the battering, which trading is, whether you make money or lose money, you're still getting a mental battering during that process. So getting yourself back to an optimal state is a key part of trading. And that was probably my key element of my book, is that final part, because it's the part that no one looks at. It's what I call letting go. It is the super skill of the greatest traders. If you read my book, you'd have seen that the final part, that letting go part, is the key. Learning to do that better than your peers, learning to do it better than you're doing it now, learning to engage with that element of making yourself vulnerable, accepting failure and accepting success. A lot of people struggle with accepting that they might actually be good at this, and they don't trust themselves with it. They suffer imposter syndrome. So learning to cope and learning to be a trader with all the elements of trading are this key part of the job. This should be what you're looking at in 2025. And it's time, whether you're in the professional world or the non-professional world, to start really giving this serious consideration and asking yourself, Do I want to succeed? What do I need to do to succeed? What do I need to change myself? And really start investing in it. Really start investing in time. Really start investing in your education, your learning journey. You can make it on your own. You can get up that pyramid on your own. You can get to the next level on your own. But it becomes much harder than if you do it with other people, if you have people supporting you, if you have people as part of that journey. I often get asked by people curious about coaching. We get asked a lot. What is the cost of the coaching? How does it work? And coaching isn't cheap. Let's not sugarcoat it. Okay? Anything which has high value is going to be expensive. So we get asked, we have a lot of inquiries, and then people say, oh, I'd like to do it, but I can't really afford it at the moment. I'll come back later on. Yeah, that's an interesting one. And I completely get it, because paying for coaching, investing in something you think you could do yourself, it's not something where you necessarily see tangible results instantly. If you work with a golf coach, you play golf, it's going to accelerate your learning. But you don't always see the results instantly. You need to go out with practice, go back to the golf teacher, have practice, go back to the golf teacher. And it happens over time. Your game will slightly improve. I have a friend actually who hit the ceiling on his golf. He got to a really high level, but he couldn't get any further. And he went to a top golf coach to help him. And the golf coach said, actually, you're going to have to go backwards to go forwards. You've developed lots of bad habits, and you've done well despite that. But you cannot go any further as you're playing now. And he I don't know if you know the handicap system, but he was playing off 3. And this teacher said, you're going to go back to 7 or 8. And that's because you're going to relearn parts of the game, parts of the way you play it. And then you can go forward. And that's exactly what happened. He dropped about 4 or 5 strokes, went backwards for about a year or so, and then went forward and went past his old ceiling. That's what we mean by investing in yourself, developing yourself. If you're serious about getting better at this. I spoke about it a lot. I had coaching mid-career as a trader, and it completely transformed my trading career. It didn't happen straight away. When I was asked whether the coaching was useful after a few months, I said it was interesting. I enjoyed it. I'm not sure whether it's going to make a big difference. Fast forward a few years and it changed my life. And I see this with lots of people. We get lots of inquiries, both professional and non-professional, and they say, I'm not sure if I want to spend the money on it. And, that's their choice. I completely get it. I may have said the same back in the day when I started. It's nice to think you can do it on your own. Truth is, you'll always do it better with other people. You'll always do it better with a coach. You'll always do it better going on a learning program, which is a more affordable way of doing it. Although you don't get the high personal contact that you get working with a coach. But make 2025 the year you do something. Make it the year you start to think about this from that external perspective. How do I get better? You may not see better results. Markets may not give you the opportunities this year. That's another problem. People have this mental idea that I've always got to make more money than last year. Well, if last year, and last year wasn't a great year for many people, unless you got into the crypto bull move or managed to get on the stock market bull move. But the years for 2020, 2021, 2022, there were some phenomenal moves in markets, but those weren't replicated in the following years, and people never achieved the same level of performance. That didn't mean they weren't as good. They may have even been better. Their relative performance is possibly what's more important. And that's what that pyramid is really about, developing yourself to be better. So when the opportunities do come along, you're more likely to capture them. Anyway, I'm not gonna keep you much longer than this. This is a little bit of a shorter podcast episode than we normally do. I wanted to introduce this idea, this concept of really working on yourself, thinking about yourself, thinking about trading in the round, in the whole, that it's all these different skills and components put together. Thinking about how do you make yourself better? How do you win in this battle? By becoming the best you can be. And that means working on all of this and working on yourself. And also getting you to think about what you can do to improve yourself, whether it's courses and programs. You can do courses on individual techniques. You might want to do a programming course. You may want to do one of the courses that our educational partner, the Society of Technical Analysis, runs. They run the brilliant home study course, which, of course, listeners to the Alpha Mind podcast are able to get a small discount on by using a code which we will provide to them. If you go onto our website, alpha-mind.net, you can see all about that. So you could do the STA home study course on technical analysis. You could also do their full diploma program on technical analysis, which I happen to be one of the teachers on when it comes to the behavioural finance element. So there's ways you can improve, and they have brilliant teachers on all those programs. The home study course is developed by some of the greatest minds in the world of technical analysis. They've started a new course this year, as well as our high performance trader learning program, which we're running through them. They're running a new course called Technicals to Trading Systems. And this has been something that they've developed over the last couple of years. And it's being run over 12 modules from early April through to June. And again, they've got some brilliant people as part of that course. Malcolm Pryor is a course leader, with Jeff Boccaccio, who's the head of the STA, Tom Hicks, Stephen Hode, and Tiru Nagapan. So that's a brilliant course if you want to develop your technical trading side as well. And of course, they have their home study course and their diploma packages as well. And I'm sure they're going to be bringing on more courses in the future. So do think of joining the Society of Technical Analysts. Although they are a UK-based organisation, they are global. They're part of IFTA, the International Federation of Technical Analysts, so you can join them from abroad as well. There's not many great organisations really. I will mention the Chartered Market Technicians, which is more US-based. They're a great organisation as well. But there's not many really high-quality learning organisations for trading. But there are other coaches. There's some brilliant coaches out there. I would generally steer clear of the online programs. There are a few great exceptions to that, and I'm not going to go through those now. But do your homework. Do really look into these things. Do go on to see where there's references about those programs, because there's a lot of I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of rubbish out there. There's a lot of people who are just selling stuff who have never traded in their life, or maybe did it for a year or two and dropped off quickly and thought, I'm going to teach it rather than do it. I'm not going to go there beyond that. But anyway, that's really it, really. I just want to wish you all the very best of luck going forward in 2025. And if you're listening to this at some future point, the best of luck in your own trading journey. If you want to know more about any of the work we do reach out to us, info@alpha-mind.net. We do have our website, alpha-mind.net. It's a little bit basic at the moment. We hope to change that going forward. Do check out the Society of Technical Analysts. Their website page is technicalanalysts.com. And by the way, just to give you a little bit more insight about them, they are a not-for-profit organisation. They don't make money out of you. They are just there to offer educational services to people in the markets. And that's it. I just wish you the very best of luck with your trading going forward. Goodbye. We hope you enjoyed this podcast today. Thank you again to our podcast partner and sponsor, the Society of Technical Analysts. You can check them out on their website, technicalanalysts.com. And do check out the offer we have with them for their brilliant home study course on technical analysis. And you can obtain a discount. About that, go to our website, alpha-mind.net, to find out more about that offer. Once again, thank you for listening, and we look forward to you joining us for future episodes.